Lock and Key podcast may contain language and themes that are sensitive to some. Listener discretion is advised.
Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Sherry Privott, retired correctional officer. Just out here living my life right now, but been involved in a few youth programs, and I lived in Connecticut. Very strong advocate for my peoples.
Sherry, you have a background in corrections. What led you to become a correction officer, and did the reality of being a correction officer compare to your expectations?
The honest version, I needed money,
Mm-hmm.
needed the good benefits. And I would say I was okay with the career move. I wasn't like really scared going in or nothing. It was different. It was very different because, I tell people all the time, we weren't allowed to work in prisons until 1968. They ain't allowed no Black people to work inside. So it was different. So a little bit of that atmosphere that was going on before we got in was still going on. That was back in 1992.
The atmosphere, sorry to cut you off. The atmosphere meaning what?
The violence against inmates and treating them certain ways, with the black gloves on and the let's give a little beat down over here, nobody will ever know kind of thing. So a little of that is still going on when I got in. Sad to say some of us partook in it. I wasn't going for none of that. I had guys that were already in, like older guys, and they kind of gave me the rundown of, look, this is what they're going to try to do. This is how they people and all that stuff. So I was kind of smart going in on how to deal with the environment. Because I had others that kind of hit me to it all.
Yeah, because, me coming from the same background, and I worked in Georgia, they was applying pressure to a couple of friends. They was applying pressure because they weren't per se cool with it when I started. So when they realized how close I was to these particular ladies, they got cool with it.
This is the officers?
Yeah.
I really wasn't. I wasn't trying to cool nobody. I mean, if I was, I was. But
they was applying pressure to see who's gonna be able to holler or, get with that particular staff member. The Peyton Place team. I worked at a hospital, so we had nurses and dental hygienists and everything, CNAs and the whole nines.
Man, yeah, I think the environment is what you make it. It could be bad or it could be good for you. You know what I mean? I had more enemies from staff than I did from, the MU. So staff didn't like me because I was like, listen, this is what we're not going to do. Now, I'm not in here power tripping on nobody. If you do something in front of me, I don't snitch, I tell. I got 2 kids at home. I got benefits. And I got a retirement to get to. Plus, I have friends and family that's behind these walls. Not playing no games with none of y'all, so don't do none of your dirt in front of me because I'm not losing nothing for you, especially my life. Because, you get in there, it's dangerous. You get in there and you play these games, they'll tell you, the inmates really run the prison. They let you do what you do.
Right. But you know what? Somebody gave me that lesson before I started it, where I was
They let you run. They let you run it. Come on, how many times have they taken over the prisons? I was in several riots, and I never got touched. The other inmates was like, nah, not her. You don't touch her. Mm-hmm. To the point where lieutenants was like, how come they didn't mess with you? Because I'm not a jerk. I don't come in here, I don't bother nobody. I'm not on my high horse. I don't call people names. Now, we can get busy if you want to. But for the most part, I didn't go in there with that attitude of, talking down. They tell you in the academy, everybody in jail ain't guilty. I had friends and family running in halls.
So how did you balance humanity with authority? Because I hear a lot of humanity in your voice and in what you just said. How did you balance that with authority successfully as a woman?
I mean, but that's why women do it so well, some of us. And some of us really need to be sat down somewhere. Because we grew up in the hood. Now we grew up in the hood.
Right.
We grew up with these guys. Like, one day I was standing in the hall and I was working with these 2 officers and they're just yelling at this dude, like, pull your pants up, dude, like talking real grimy to him. And I just walked up to him and I said, listen, bro. I said, you know, you're not supposed to be walking the halls like this. Just pull your pants up, go on about it. Because he was ready to fight. I was like, don't give them your freedom. Go ahead and pull your pants up, do what you got to do, and go ahead. And they pissed off, pissed with me. Like, we had it. I said, yeah, you almost had a whooping because he was ready to fight y'all. And then we got to get involved when y'all could just say, hey, man, can you just pull your pants up for me? That's it. Y'all talking to them like they little kids. You talking to them like real grimy and dirty because that was their mentality. For me going into it, I just talked to them like I would want somebody to talk to my brother who has done time, my friends who have done time. It's nothing for me to be humane to people. I don't know what your deal is. I don't know if you actually did the crime that you did or whatever. I don't know none of that. I'm just here to make you follow the rules of the institution. That's it. And I'll tell you no with a smile on my face. And for me.
You know what? Being authentic, you find that it works better for you. My authentic self worked out better for me in that environment.
That's exactly what it is. When you come in there to be phony and try to be something that you're not, that's a different story. That's who I was. I promise you, the majority of officers I work with did not like it because I got a smart mouth anyway. So just, you know what I mean? I'm here to do my job and go home to my kids. You just got to show that you're not putting up with it, basically. And then you have to have, like you said, some humanity. You just can't come in there with all this rah-rah. Because what are they going to do? If you treat them like animals, what you think they're going to go back out in the street and act like? There's no rehabilitation in jail. You're literally the front line for them. I mean, I ran my own little library. I literally had library cards. I'll bring in Black history books, stuff they couldn't find. And I'm like, listen, don't make me shake you down because I'm going to come and get my book. Look that, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had a kid. I used to make him bring me his report card. And he was like, why do you care? I was like, why do you not? And he started bringing me his report card. And then he started acting in plays and doing all kind of stuff he would have never done. Now, and I was like, listen, you got to go back outside at some point in time. And he's like, I'm not going to find a job. I was like, who says? You just got your certificate in commercial cleaning. Do you know you could take that and go get a contract with a building and work? And then you can hire some other people that can't find work. I was like, it's all about starting your own business at some point in time. So it's stuff like that I used to like give them, especially these young kids. You know what I mean? Because they just feel like hopeless. And it is because you don't get that second chance on the outside. So I keep telling these kids, stop putting yourself in a position you're already Black and male. Now you have a felony on your head.
Yeah.
Now you're fully done in. So then now you got to find a way to work around that. Start your own bit. There's so many talented freaking dudes in jail. Like, there was a dude that made a freaking guitar. We're like, what? He made a guitar. There was one beating out of it. He made a guitar and his belt played a guitar. He was stacking and laughing. And then one dude made like a sculpture out of soap. There was like a junkyard with a tow truck, palm trees and shit. And they did a shakedown and took it from him. And one of the lieutenants I grew up with in the same, and I was like, bro, I said, why you gotta take that from him? Why would you take his sculpture? Like, that's his thing. And they took it and they broke it. I was like, y'all are wild. Y'all so disrespectful. Like, a little thing like that could make these dudes just go off. It gives them something to do and hope. I don't know what he did. I'm not here to judge what he did, basically.
What shift did you work a lot?
Man, I worked all them shifts. Third shift, I worked the least. When I first started, I was on second, and then I went to first. I used to work 16 hours like all the time, so I practically lived there.
So they let you pick your shift when you first started?
Nah, they don't let you take a shift. I mean, you could say what you want, but you're going to get what they give you. So, it's like, you know, seniority counts. Your seniority. Because when I left, I started up in Midtown, and I got held hostage up. That's where I got held hostage up there. And then I went down to Cheshire, and I had more seniority than everybody on second shift. Like, I was top dog because everybody was brand new.
Right.
So, and then I just hopped over all of them and went to first shift. And that's where I stayed for years until I retired.
First, second, third, they had a line of people. First, second, third. First, I worked 2 to 10. So whatever mood they put that doorman before I got there, I either had to bring it down or fix the problems. And do any of that. Whatever tone they set, the door might be off the chain by the time you get there.
Yeah, I had a lieutenant and he was so anal. Our job is to come in, do our count, make sure everybody's there. You know, he would come in before we even did our count, be banging on doors, take that down, do this and do that. So one day I just walked up to him straight to his face. I said, listen to me very carefully. Don't bring your monkey ass walking here, waking up these inmates and pissing them off before I even have a chance to let them out for rec, because now you've got them all riled up and they might take that out on me when I pop doors. So that's not your job. Matter of fact, he was a captain. I said, you're a captain. That's my job, not your job. And he just looked at me like, you're not scared of me? I'm not scared of you. No, the hell, get out my block. We're not going to. Every morning he come in here with this crap, and then I got to hear their mouths, and I got to calm the natives because you done came in here and pissed everybody off. And then you had, I would have a partner and be like, one guy literally said this. He was like, who can we write tickets today? I was like, I tell you what you're going to do is you're going to sit your ass down and be quiet because this is my block. I run this. And you're not giving anybody tickets because these dudes don't give me no problem. You're not coming in here starting no mess. And if that's what your goal is every day, maybe you need to go home and reevaluate your life. Because I got 2 kids at home. You're not going to get me hurt in here. You want to write a ticket or do whatever you're going to do in here. I just didn't allow them to come in there and run. This is my block. You here for the day because maybe my partner was out, but that's how their mentalities were. Who can I get in trouble today? Who can I? Not today. Now while Sherry's here, They hated me because I didn't let them do all that. I'm not doing all that. Now, at the end of the day, what is your power tripping?
Environment is really not for that. But you get people where that uniform makes them who they are. They take the uniform off, you're not who they portray themselves to be. And it makes it for a bad environment.
And then it's like to do the labeling. Yeah, they'll label you inmate lover. You side with it. No, I'm siding with what's right. And I was like, half of y'all, I wouldn't trust on the street. I wouldn't trust half of y'all in uniform. I'd rather trust some of these dudes in his block. It makes sense. When I see dudes, like I used to see ex-inmates, they be in my inbox all the time. It's like, hey, you know what's going on? You doing? I'm like, I'm good. Some of them are on my page. I don't care. Never bother me. I don't bother them.
Yeah,
and some of them doing real good. Oh, we going to Waterbury. We got to go to Waterbury. We got to strap up, blah, blah, blah. I said, I be in Waterbury every day. I don't carry no weapon. I said, if I see an inmate, he's not going to bother me unless he's just a bad person. Like, that's just who he is. But he's never going to come for me for something I've ever done. Y'all are worried because y'all are in here being a-holes.
Right. You've seen so much throughout your time as a CO. And you did touch on a hostage situation. I don't want you to give all the details of your book because you got a book and a movie on your hands. So if you could let our audience maybe bullet points if you felt comfortable.
I had 6 months on the job. Newtown was brand new. I was brand new. I was working with this guy. He was pissing me off all day. All day. He was like, I'm going on vacation. I don't want nothing to happen. I'm like, this dude, something's going to happen because he's just stressing for whatever reason. One of the inmates got a ticket. A ticket is an infraction, basically. If you get caught doing something you shouldn't be doing, it's a ticket. It's just a write-up saying what you did and your punishment. You want them to lose rep. You could take their visits away. You could take their phone time away. You can come out of cell for a few days. But every time I look around, I looked. He was at my desk. I was like, how do you keep getting on his cell? So my partner went to do a tour, and then I got up because somebody was calling me for something. I got up to go and see what this dude wanted. Next thing you know, I'm being pushed into a cell with 2 other inmates. And I'm like, door locks. I turned around. I'm automatically banging on the doors like, what's up? What's going on? And all I see is these dudes just running everywhere. And I'm thinking it's some kind of hit. It's a gang thing. So I'm like, oh my God, they must put a hit on somebody. They're doing something. And I didn't know where my partner was. So I'm banging on the door, and the 2 inmates, luckily for me, in the cell I was in, they were like, listen, Miss Privott, just sit down. You ain't going nowhere. Just sit down. And one of them was like, want to see pictures of my son? I was like, well, hell, mind blowing where what to the your kid while I stress about trying to, so I stayed just running back and forth. At the time, I didn't know how they were doing it. They were popping people out, popping other inmates out their cells, but I was just going crazy. Finally, I look up at the top tier and I see, I'm like in a cell under the stairs. I look up, he looks at me, I look at him, and he calls the code. So when that happened, the dude that held me hostage came to the cell and dragged me out the cell. And he was like, if they come in here, I'm gonna kill you. And I was like, Lord have mercy. I don't even know what I felt. I promise you, I couldn't sit here and tell you right now how I felt. I don't know if I was scared or not. I don't even know. So I was like, shit. I was like, I got 6 months on the job. So as we're walking past the desk, he picks up a clipboard and pops the metal piece off and just like sticks it in my neck. He's like, they come in here, I'm gonna kill you. I was like, Lord. So now we're going up the steps. Now everybody's in the Sally court. Like, what's going on? And there was these lieutenants. I used to beef with these lieutenants on a regular basis. So now he's taking me around the top tier to the other side. Because when you come in our blocks, you come in on the top tier and you got to walk down into the block. So he drives me around to the other side. Why, Miss Lieutenant? You cannot hide. When I tell you, you can't hide. Sneaking in the block. It's wide open. Why? Trying to slither his body through the door. And that dude went crazy, just jacked my shit up, was like, I'll kill her. And I was like, this dude must really hate me. I hate him. I hate him, but not to the point where I would want to see harm caused to him. But I was like, you want me to die? So one of the other lieutenants yelled at him, like, get the hell out. What are you doing? So they're sitting there going back and forth trying to negotiate. And they finally negotiated my partner. So what happened to him is when he did his tour, why they had this at the time, but they had the barbells. Like they were able to take the barbells off and like switch pieces. So he took that and smashed him over the head with it and put him in a cell. Ended up chipping part of his ear. So he's knocked out in the cell while all this is going on. This is before he got me. So he finally let them go down there and get him out and go get medical help and whatever. So he still got me on the other side of the tier. So there's like a couple of inmates behind me, keep calling him over the top. And he's like dragging me over. I don't hear what they're saying, but it's just this one inmate. He keep going back over there talking to him. And finally he was like, he came, brought me back over to the railing. He was like, you can go. And I didn't move.
No. Wow.
He was like, I said you can go. And I still didn't move. I was like, and he's like, I said go. I was like, oh, then. And I left. Yes. And this is what pissed me off. So come to find out, he was trying to escape because he's actually, I want to say he's from our town, Marvin. I forget his name. But he had been in and out of jail since he was 16 years old. And he was like darn near 50 or something. Right. He was trying to escape because his time with the state was almost up and the feds were going to meet him at the gate. He was about to be 25 for them. So he was like, I'm going to need to go straight. So he was going from one right to the other. And the feds, you doing all your time. There ain't nothing. So anyway, so I got out and then they negotiated with him, whatever. They negotiated. The warden was like, do not touch him. Because at the time, our jail was under investigation from a riot before, supposedly, and I know it to be true, that the officers was beating up the inmates. I mean, you went into the gym, all the inmates sitting on the floor had knots on their head. They dubbed them the goon squad, and they had an investigation going on. So when I got held hostage, the warden was like, you better not touch him. Don't be banging him against the door jam, trying to take him out. Like, don't put your hands on the man.
Right.
So that's how that all ended. But what pissed me off is like they gave me the metal, some kind of stupid pin, right? But they gave the lieutenant that was doing negotiating the credit for getting me out. No, he got that dude out. He didn't get me out. The inmate, whoever the inmate was that was talking to him, got him to let me go. And I wish I knew who it was because he was not listening to that other dude. He was like, nah. He let them go get the other guy because he was in a cell. It's like, but y'all can go get him, but I'm keeping it. But that inmate kept calling him back and forth. And then finally he was like, all right. He kept, he was at the cell, all right. And then he said I could go. But that lieutenant took credit for something he didn't do. So, and that was that. And then I went out on con. And they wanted me to come back the next day. And I don't know if you know, Lieutenant, but as I was coming to the jail, he was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "They told me to come back." He was like, "Get your ass back in the car and leave." He was like, "You don't have to be here. I'm 6 months on the job. I don't know how things work, comp, this, that. I'm not trying to lose my job." He was like, "Nah." And that was it. They even said that. They're like, how come you can get these dudes to do? Because you're not like us, basically, from where they're from. I know how to talk to them. I know how to talk to people. Y'all don't know how to talk to people. You just come in here and you start barking and then you be mad. Because when the riots kicked off, who got beat up? It wasn't none of us. Well, but there was some of us that like to play on that team. And I'm like, I didn't hang around none of them. It's like, when we used to do shakedowns, we used to sit and look at all their picture books. They love their porn and stuff, right? So then all of a sudden somebody came up with the bright idea that they can't have porn anymore. And I'm like, well, that's just dumb because that took the attention off of us, of all female officers. They had no books.
Right.
So now we're doing shakedowns and all of a sudden they want to give out Class A tickets. I'm like, y'all are so corny. Y'all used to be in here looking at these same magazines, sitting down because you was wasting time so we didn't have to shake down all day. Now all of a sudden, the same dude's books y'all was looking at, y'all want to give him a ticket. Corny. And he was like, well, I'm just saying, no, go ahead and give him a ticket because you're corny. And this is black dudes. And they was like, well, we ain't going to give him a ticket. Nah, just take it because you messing up his visitations and his going home. And, you messing with this dude over a porn book that you used to look at. Come on, dude.
Right. And think about the fun. Like, with what? How long did you do? 25?
Me, 20. Never 25.
You did 20.
20.
With everything that you know, what advice could you give another young lady from the left? Because my cousin worked for the same system. Couple of cousins. One of them went to administration, and one, I think she worked at Chester.
Trust yourself. Don't trust nobody else. Everybody's trying to get to the top. They will step on you. I've had people make up stuff. I was supposedly having something going on with an inmate and this, just trust yourself. Do you, do what's right. Don't get into nobody else's stuff. Don't be telling your business to them. You just got to literally hold everything close to you. Do your job. And when you first get in, don't let them teach you their bad habits. You know what I'm saying? Follow the rules until, you got a good 5 years under your belt. And then everybody develops their own ways. But it's too many people that with knives that will try to start, they want to make it to the top. They want to be lieutenant. They want to be captain. Or they think they run the block. Or they're just mean. They want to come in here and they want to punish these dudes. And don't be a part of it. If that's not who you are as a person, don't let them label you inmate lover, or you're soft, or you're this and that. Because let me tell you something. I know when to be hard. I've been there. Them dudes is like, Miss, you from the white neighborhoods. I was like, dude, I'm from the hood, just like you. They were like, no, you're not. They made me mad one day. I just went off. They was like, oh, she from the hood. I had a best friend. Her son was in my block. And this dude kept all day with him. And I was like, listen, just stay in yourself for me today. This dude's at the hole. He's trying to take, you get ready to go home to your family and your kids. Do not give him what he's looking for today. He was on the tier with his fist balled and everything. I was like, don't let him take your freedom from you. You get home. He did. He stayed in his cell all day. I left the door open, but I said, just don't come out here. So, but that's not all I did. When that dude got back to the desk, I said, listen to me very carefully. You're here because my partner ain't here today. You don't run this block. I run this block. I want you to sit still and shut the fuck up. Leave these dudes alone. They listen to what I say. They ain't bothering nobody. You coming in there trying to set these dudes off, it's pissing me off. And he sat there the rest of the day. I said, don't talk to nobody. If there's a problem, I'll handle it. Because there's no reason for you to come in here to just be bothering people all day long. And then y'all wonder why they go back out on the street and have attitudes and just still be effed up individuals.
Even with me, to me, I thought it could be the easiest job on the planet. I'm like, this is easy. You know, you can make it hard to make the easy. I figured I'd be easy. When I met someone in them, said, listen, this is how it worked here. I don't care where you came from, what you did where you came from, but this is how this works. So if we do it this way, we'll be our, you see me and him are right here, right?
You ready?
I said, this is the way this worked. I don't know what they were doing over there, but this is the way my shift worked. How my shift is.
Yeah.
He's my shift can be. This is what we got to do. So it's
Well, they have to learn to adjust too. The inmates, I used to tell them, y'all got to learn to adjust too, because if you know Mark's coming through the door and he's an a-hole, act accordingly, act accordingly. Don't give him nothing to come for you about. Play the role. That's all. Play the role.
Yeah.
I had a dude come in. He was like, I hate COs. I was like, that's cool. I said, but by the end of this 56, me and you going to be best friends. And when it was time for me to change, he was like, Miss G, you coming back? I said, oh, you like me now? He was like, you all right. You know, because I don't bother them. And they'd be like, how come you always saying no? I said, I'm telling you no that you can't do something because I'm not letting nobody else do it. If I can't let everybody do it, you're not doing it. I don't know. And I got to be careful with who I'm working with.
Right.
Because I've had people run to the office and be like, oh, you know, Gonzalez did this and that and the other. You can't be trusting people. So I got to tell you no. And it's not because you're a bad inmate or blah, blah, blah. This is what it is. And the answer is no. And it's going to be no all the time. So don't ask me again. You know.
You can always take a no away.
Yeah, you can. But for the most part, you got to know who your block is too. So if you knew who the inmate snitches was, you know, that'll be like, oh, well, Miss G let Sell so-and-so use the phone, and I asked to use the phone, and she said no, blah, blah, blah. So ain't nobody doing it. Since I don't know who I'm trusting, nobody does anything outside of what's supposed to be done. No. Everybody lock up when they supposed to lock up. Everybody just do what they supposed to be doing. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to be doing. Ain't nobody telling nothing. And that was just that. So they need to understand who they're functioning with too, because if you're going to keep arguing, you can't argue with racist people. You can't argue with people that are trying to reach the top either, because they'll step on their mama to get a badge, to get lieutenant, captain, warden, whatever they want.
So, in so many words, you can't come in there inconsistent.
Yeah, that's fair, firm, consistent. You know, that's the state policy, supposedly. Fair, firm, and consistent. So I don't be coming there switching up every day. The environment is just wild, and you have to learn to live in it. It basically learn to live in it. And you got to know who you're dealing with on both sides, because you never know who's going to like stab you in the back. I think I've ever had any inmates get fresh with me. You know, I mean, they be in their cells doing their things, and I just be like, okay, and keep it moving. Like, I don't know. But nothing ever really like, except for that dude on third shift. I had to give them my special curtains. But other than that, I don't really feel like I've been more disrespected by COs than by inmates. And I promise you that's true.
And you know, that is interesting because it's a career, challenging career. At the same time, and then they used to say it's us against them, but it's us against us, really. When you really look at the math of it, it's us against us. I remember somebody wrote an email to the warden on down. And I'm like, you was really trying to bury me, dude, and didn't even know me like that. It's us against us.
Well, because a lot of that is jealousy. I found out too that a lot of officers get really upset if you can handle the inmate better than they can. You know, it's like a perfect example. I was talking to an inmate like this. I'm at my desk, literally looking up at him. And I can tell he's crushing and hard, right? And I'm just like, dude. And so he's giving me a hard time, but not giving me a hard time. And so my partner's like starting to get all nasty with him. And I'm just looking at him like, chill, because I got this. This dude is he's being silly to get my attention, basically. If I felt threatened, would I be like this? would I be speaking to him from this position? You know what I mean? So, and he just got through joking around with a lieutenant. And then he comes over and he's, giving me a hard time, but not. But this guy got to get up out of his chair and get in his face. And now now the dude is like, I'm going to beat you up. Now, I literally had to call a code because as the inmate's walking towards him, he put his hand in his chest, which you can't touch him, right? Now I got to call a code. And at the same time, I'm going, don't touch him. Everybody, I'm trying to lock up my block and keep him from beating up my person. So I'm like, everybody, don't touch her. So I'm trying to do two things at the same time. Now, come to find out, after we got everything settled, he went to SEG and whatever. I looked at his mint, as they say, his file, basically. He had over 25 assaults on staff. So dude was no joke. Like he was about his business. And he was about to beat this dude up. If it wasn't for me, he would beat him up. And I'm like,
What code?
I had to call a code. That's a code orange. Assault on staff is code orange. I hope I'm right. I know code blue is when the inmate fight. Code orange is when, it's assault on staff. Even though it wasn't really a code orange, but was because he put his hand in the middle of the inmate's chest to keep him from advancing. So now I gotta, lock all these guys up who are, of course, instigating, and then I gotta keep him from hitting this dude. Later on, they was like, yo, I said, if I didn't feel threatened, why did you need to butt in? I function with this dude every day. He's never done anything inappropriate. I know what he's doing. He's flirting. He got a little crush. It's cool. He's never done anything to make me feel threatened, though, or else I wouldn't have been talking to him. Like, I have my hands like this on my desk. He's standing behind the desk over me. If I'm like this, do I look like I feel threatened?
Right.
He was being threatening. I would have stood up and backed up. So and I put it on paper too, you started it. You butted in because you almost got me hurt. I'm trying to go home to my kids and my family. I told you several times to chill because I know what's going on here. And it was like, I'm rapport with him. I know what he's doing. I'm here with him. This is my block. And actually, I ended up going out on top because of it, because PTSD. And I was like, I can't work.
Wait, I got to back you up again. Your block. What is?
It's a unit where all 150 inmates live. So and it's 2 officers to 150 inmates. So it's like,
Okay.
I think it's that many. There's 140. Man, I've been out for a minute. It's where the inmates live. And I run that unit. So I'm the officer and I have a partner. And then we have rovers in the area in case we need help that we'll call to come and help. I actually ended up going out on comp after that because I was kind of, triggered at that point. Because I kind of broke down, like, here we are again. It was real though. And I was like, here we are again. And I'm looking at, is this dude going, like, I know he's going to beat you up. But I don't know if any of these other inmates are going to want to get in on a deal. Some of them know me, some of them don't.
And that
would put me in a bad state. Sometimes you got to know when to stand down. And it's like, no, now he's all kind of like eyes wide like this because he's finding out that this dude actually had over 25 assaults on staff and hurt some real bad at some point in time. He wasn't one to be messed with. When he said he was going to do it, he was going to do it.
Mhm.
But I was just like, don't hit him. You know what I mean? Just go lock up. So I'm trying to lock my block up and keep him from getting beat up.
Mhm.
So it was just a mess after that. But you got to know when to back off.
Mm. I'll pull back to something you said too, because it'd be like a good bridge into the next question. When you said you had PTSD, how did you not bring that home? How did you not let that affect your relationships? I know Marv had music. Like when he left, I know he was doing music and that's how he decompressed or whatever. What was yours? What was it that you had?
I have a lot of family.
Mhm.
I have a lot of brothers, sisters, kids, nieces, nephews. I always busy. But I can't say that it didn't affect me. If you hear my kids talk today and they'll be like, you used to eat. I used to be So I'm sure you can't even be like, yeah, no, because when you go in, when I started therapy, they tell you that working in the prison is just like being in the prison. So your mentality changes because it's an uncontrolled, really work environment. It's not like you're in an office where you have to watch what you say. It's just like a wide open environment. Now I'm working with all men and the inmates are men. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I used to have to catch myself sometimes, like, here, you're not a dude. I used to be at the bar and I'd be like, next round on me. And the guys would be like, put your goddamn money away. Sometimes you forget that you the girl in the bunch or whatever. A lot of little different outlets, the kids and whatever. But therapy, I did go to therapy. And that's when he was just like, you literally start to act like the inmates after a while because you're in that environment as much as they are. We were getting mandated doing 16 hours. Sometimes we were there a lot. So you do get into them, that mode.
Yeah.
It's a wild system. And if you're soft, you're not making it. I seen a lot of people come in and just crash. No. I remember a friend of mine was like, I'm going to be a CO. I was like, nah, baby. It ain't for you. Then dudes would have talked you out of your panties and like you said.
Right.
She just was not hurting now. It wouldn't be for her.
I never wanted to do it, to be honest with you.
I mean, that's what wanted to do it. I needed some money.
Right. I was in Georgia. I was hurting down there. So
now you couldn't pay me all the money in the world to work in no prison system in the South. Never. There's no union. There's no pay. It's wild down here. I wouldn't have lasted 1 second inside of a prison down here. At least up there, you had your protections. Because I remember one of my friends, I actually grew up with him. And every time he worked overtime, they would put him on a post where you could easily fall asleep. He was like, man, I don't know why they keep putting me down here on overtime. I just happened to be in the office one day, and one of the lieutenants was like, yeah, that dude, talking about my boy. He was like, I don't like him. And every time he works, I'm going to put him there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I walked my little happy self back down to where my boy was, and I said, listen, the lieutenant is up in the office talking shit about you. He don't like you. Every time you work, this way he gonna put you. You want me to write paperwork? He's like, nah, I got it. I was like, well, if you need me, let me know, because I got your back.
Yeah.
And that lieutenant actually ended up getting in trouble for that with the higher ups. But I don't play that time. They're like, sure, why you don't become a lieutenant? I said, because I'll get in his office and tell on everybody. Because you're not going to mess with my people.
Yeah.
Not my friend, not my family. You're just not going to do that.
right.
No, I didn't feel the need to push paper and do none of that stuff with them. Most of the people that you see, I hate to say it, that have made it that far, like lieutenant captain and stuff, I promise you they ain't no good.
Yeah.
I met a few good ones, a few, but not many. Females too. A couple of them come from me, but I'm smarter than they are.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, you got to wake up a little bit earlier to come for me and actually get me. Because they didn't like the way I did my job or how I dealt with the inmates. I'm not you, and I'm not doing this. There's only one time I can say I was mean to an inmate, and that's because I actually knew he was guilty of what he did. And it was a young kid. He was on an interstate compact. And he was, you ever heard somebody just be really nice to you, and you're like, I was like, I don't like this kid. Just something about him. I still like him. And he's trying to stay up on it. Yeah. So I was home I was telling Marvin this story. I was home one night watching one of my crime shows. Who pops up on the screen? That kid. Him and his boy murdered a 10-year-old kid up in Boston. He helped the family look for him all the while knowing he knew where he was. And I was like, that dude in my box, that kid.
Wow.
Next day I came in, he was like, hey, Miss J. I was like, don't talk to me. Don't ask me for nothing because you're not getting up. But he's literally guilty of the crime. Like, he did it.
Yeah.
So, like, don't talk to me. Don't ask me for nothing. You can't get nothing from me. And he was in protective custody. Jail is wild, but you have to be who you are. You can't get in there and let these officers change who you are and start making you feel a way that you're not. I mean, I dealt with them how they dealt with me. If you want to crack today, we can do that. If you want to be cool today, we can do that too. You know what I mean? But for the most part, I can't say that I could run into anybody that I've ever was in jail with, any inmate that would want to do me harm.
Well, let me ask you, DO to CO, when you finished, did you feel like I made it to the finish line? Or did you feel like it was an accomplishment with rewards and stuff? How did you feel about when you finished and we got done? Did you feel like, wow, like it's failing that you made it to the finish line? You know what I mean? Did you see people that didn't make it to the finish line? So how did you feel when you finished?
I really think you feel no type of way. As a matter of fact, usually when people retire, they'll line the halls and clap them out, you know, give them their flowers and blah, blah, blah. I retired from home. I went up to HR. I was like, listen, I had enough. I'm taking these days off and I ain't coming back. And I didn't feel no type of way about it. I didn't feel like it was an accomplishment. Of course it is, you know what I mean? Holding down a job for 20 years is an accomplishment, but I feel like I did some good. I feel like you did good when you got people in your inbox and saying, you know, you was mad cool, you helped me do this, on this and that. So there's a sense of accomplishment there. But honestly, if I knew what I knew now about the prison industrial complex, I would have never. I would have stayed in school and I would have finished. My conscience wouldn't have let me be in the prison system from what I know now and what they do to people, or why there, you know, so many prisons and people in prison. The whole, I don't know if y'all ever watched it, 14, that was on Netflix about the 14th Amendment. Had I probably watched that, I would have never chose to be a correction officer. If I knew how this system really is, I would have never. It's like the dude that I had in my block I told you about. He did 18 years. He hired the Innocence Project, tested the DNA in his case. He just spent 18 years in prison for a crime he didn't do. Walked out of there, they gave him $5 million. But if I knew all the complexities of the prison system and how it was formed, then I probably would not have chosen to be in. At the same token, though, I'm glad I was, because I feel like I helped a lot of them dudes make sense of something. Like they would be like, hey, Miss G, you know, my son's coming to visit me. He did this and that. What should I do? Well, you shouldn't go up there yelling at him because you're not in the home. You got to talk to him. Like, you're going to make him want to act out. Like, I would just, you know, things like that they would come to me for. So that was cool. I was glad I could be there for that. There's some of those people I never want to see again in my whole entire life. I mean, the rest of it was just a means of me getting to that early retirement, that money, and taking care of my kids. That literally was all that was. So I didn't feel really anything else leaving. Like, I wasn't sad, I wasn't happy, I was just ready to go.
And that's where, to me, you're supposed to feel like this accomplishment when you retire. That's why I was asking, because I didn't feel nothing.
No, it wasn't.
I'm leaving this day. Throw up the peace sign, I'm out, yo.
Nah, I retired from home. Them dudes was like, Sherry, you left? I was like, yeah, I ain't coming back.
I felt more accomplishment when I could talk to them about what's going on outside and what they should look for. And, you know, same thing as you did. I really didn't feel anything when I finished. I was like, okay, I'm done. That's it. So, see y'all later.
Same.
That's it. That's it. You need to change the system so that you could feel like there was an accomplishment there. My accomplishment is helping the population.
You have anything going on you want to share with our audience? Anything you're working on? A good book that you may be reading? Somebody's music that you're listening to?
I'm on TikTok, so there's a book club. They give you all these Black history books. So I'm trying to gather a collection of those so I can start reading again. I love to read, and I haven't for a while, but I've been getting these books written down that I want to get. And I'm in the process of moving. So once I get settled, I want to get back into reading and regaining some more history. So I watch a lot of history and stuff. But a lot of stuff I can't watch because I guess I'm an empath and a lot of stuff bothers me. So I'm really into politics. I'm trying to get people to understand that it's important for us, like right now. So we need to be in it more than we ever were. So I'm kind of like working on that. I've gotten all my nieces and granddaughters, they vote now. Me need to get my son to do it because I don't want to vote. I was like, dude, I got to explain to you, you can't just not vote. They wouldn't be trying to take your vote if it didn't matter.
That's right.
Matter. And do your research. That's it. I'm just trying to stay on top of things.
There you go. We will definitely spread the word here, Lock and Key. It was great to have you on, Sherry. Please try to come back with us and hang out. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you back.
Well, thank you guys.
Have a
See
good
you next
one.
time.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.